closure and the gap. In Gestalt psychology, there's a principle called closure, where the mind wants to see completion. It wants to see wholeness. It wants to see unity. It wants to see the done deal. Well, the interesting thing about a decisive moment photograph is it doesn't depict the closure. It depicts the moment right before the completion. It's like the famous saying in showbiz, leave them wanting more. Or as Carly Simon would say, anticipation is making me wait. In psychology, there's another principle called the Zeigarnik effect, which is the idea that unfinished business lingers in your mind. So if you're working on a project at night and you don't finish it and you set it aside and you try to go to bed, you're probably going to have trouble sleeping because you're going to be thinking about it. If you do go to sleep, you're probably going to be dreaming about it. Some decisive moment photographs play on this idea that the action is not yet completed. And there's this curiosity about the uncertain outcome of an event suspended in time. When I was talking to Dick Zacchia once about decisive moment photographs, he said, in some really interesting decisive moment images, there's a little gap, a little space, a special kind of negative space that keeps you in suspension, that is making you anticipate what is the outcome going to be because we're not sure what it is. Where is it here? Well, it's right there, right? Tiny gap between his heel and the puddle. How deep is the puddle at that point? Is he going to be up to his knees in water, or is he cleared the deepest part of the water? We don't know. We're left guessing as to whether he's going to triumph in jumping over this puddle, whether he's going to get soaking wet. And the nice thing about this photo, there are other elements of this idea of things not yet completed. There's this semicircular piece of metal in the water. Now, I say semicircular piece of metal because our mind wants to see it that way. Now, to the left of it, you can see that there are circular pieces of metal. So we will assume that that other piece that the arrow is pointing to is also supposed to be a circular piece. But even if those other pieces of metal weren't there, and are just the one that the arrow is pointing to, your mind is still going to want to see it as a circle not yet complete. Your mind doesn't see it as a sideways view, it sees it as a circle that should be completed. And this idea of things not yet completed are in other parts of the photo too. If you look at the rails up there at the top of that building, there are vertical parts of the rails, but then there's a horizontal piece that doesn't complete its journey across all the vertical parts of the rail. Again, there's that idea of progression, of stages of movement across time. You think about the photo itself is taken in a construction area, a place that is not yet completed. It's still under construction. So an interesting decisive moment photograph kind of keeps you guessing, and sometimes with that little gap, that special kind of negative space that tells you things are just about to come to completion. Think about the Sistine Chapel and the creation of Adam. A beautiful painting, but what's the most interesting part of it? It's the space right between God and Adam's finger. Adam has not yet received the spark of creation, the spark of life. And once he gets it, what's he going to do with it? Wedding photographers often talk about, they may not use the term decisive moment, but if you go to any wedding photographer's website, they're going to say things like, I try to capture those special moments during the day, those unique moments that will be gone forever, those moments that are going to tell us something about this relationship between the bride and the groom and what their life might be like. And they're also going to tell you that the best photo of the kiss is not when they're actually kissing, it's that moment right before the kiss, when there's that tiny space between their lips. You know, our lips are a very, very sensitive part of our body, so we just look at a photo like that, like we can almost like feel it with our lips. We can almost anticipate what's about to happen, how it might feel. So look for photos that have that gap, because they're often very interesting ones. Okay, this is another one of my favorites. I'm a cat lover. And look at the lines in this photo. All the lines zooms right in on the man and the cat. It's like a perfect composition. Some people complain about Cartier-Bresson. They say, his photographs, the composition is too perfect. Maybe there should be a little bit of rawness to it. I understand what they're saying, but this photograph is like, to me this photograph kind of boils down to what city life is all about. There's so many people and so many different kinds of beings. What's the possibility of them coming together and connecting? There's a man and a cat. All the lines zoom in on them, but what's the most important part of the photo? It's the gap between the cat and the man. Is the man going to bend over and pet the cat? Is the cat going to walk over and nuzzle up against the man's leg? Are they going to come together or not? It's about company and companionship in a city. Look at the words on the building behind them. It says, Pani, and we all know what the word is. There's that Gestalt principle of closure. Our mind knows what the word is. It's company. And so even in the letters on the building, if it's not yet completed, we want to see company, we want to see companionship take place here, although we don't know if it's going to happen. Going back to this photo, where is the gap? Well, it's the fact that the girl is just about to disappear behind that wall. We don't know where she came from. That's the closed door. We don't know where she's going. We just know that she's on the way in her path of development.